All right, okay, so we're back, and this is going to be the part two and the last part for the word class today. And just remember, after this, we have an exam tomorrow, okay? And start doing lab exercises. So I'm going to give you time to do that after we finish the models, okay? All right, so I'm going to share you first muscles of the upper limb models, okay? And and then we're going to go to the lower limb later on, okay? So I'm going to reshare it again, make sure that is the one. Okay, so muscles of the upper limb. Okay, so remember, these are your muscles that are located at your arm and forearm. And remember, we have two kinds of compartments there, anterior and posterior, and then anterior and posterior for the other ones too. Okay, for the forearm. Right, so if you can see the word right, that means we're on the right track. Okay, so let me move this up. Okay, so the first one is the muscles of the upper limb. Okay, so the muscle that I'm looking at is going to be the muscle that are located at the upper limb. The deltoid is the one here. Okay, that's the muscle of the upper limb. Okay, and it's not as obvious as it is, but you can actually see the biceps brachii coming out from the coracoid process of the scapula. Okay, and then you have the coracoid brachialis beside it. So there's actually three muscles that are attached to the coracoid process of the scapula. The first one is going to be the pectoralis minor muscle. They're attached to the coracoid process of the scapula. Next, the biceps brachii. Okay, and then the next one is going to be your coracoid brachialis. So pectoralis minor, biceps brachii, coracoid brachialis. Okay. All right, so move on. See the upper extremity. Okay, so we're looking now at the area of the upper extremity of the pectoral girdle. Okay, remember we actually identified this as part of the eggshell. We know that this is going to be the rhomboid major, rhomboid minor, and levator scapulae. Okay, so a little bit on this edge. Is that's part of the eggshell? But we're going to take a look at part of the area where the scapula is. Okay, so remember, make sure that you look at your spine, scapular spine. That's going to be your scapular spine. And make sure that you know that the deltoid is attached or not. The deltoid is not attached here anymore, so it's actually removed, okay? Because here you can actually see the deltoid here. So the deltoid is not here anymore because sometimes if the deltoid is here, you won't be able to see this muscle here called the supraspinatus, okay? And remember, we also have the trapezius removed, okay, and the deltoid removed here in order to see the muscles that you see here at the scapula. So the first is supraspinatus, above the spine of the scapula, infraspinatus, below the spine of the scapula, and the one beside it is going to be this muscle called the teres minor. That's a teres minor. And then the other one that's underneath that is going to be the teres major. Okay. Now there's a landmark that I want you to look at. This triceps brachii, long head. Okay, it actually goes between the two teres. So they actually go between the two teres. So they actually divide the two teres. When you see this triceps long head goes inside between the two. So that's going to be a landmark in knowing who is teres minor and who is teres major. Okay, by looking at this, it's always a teres minor is beside the infraspinatus. Teres major is away, and you can actually see that the triceps brachii long head separates the two. Okay. So that's going to be the muscles there. Okay, and then we got the gluteus maximus right here. And we got the gluteus medius, but that's going to be the lower extremity. Okay, so let's concentrate here in the upper limb. Okay, and we're going to be looking at this part here. This is the scapula. And remember, I don't see a spine here. So this is going to be the subscapular fossa of the scapula. That means this muscle is going to be the subscapularis muscle. It's part of the rotator cuff. So if that is your subscapularis muscle, beside it in the anterior side is going to be the teres major, okay? Because if you take a look from the posterior side, below the infraspinatus is going to be the teres minor. Here, it's a teres major that is beside the subscapularis. And if you notice also that the triceps long head, that's the one that's going to be separating the teres major and teres minor. Okay, so it will go between the two muscles. So if you're looking at the anterior part of the scapula, the subscapularis muscle, the one that you see below it is the teres major, okay, not the minor. And that's actually one of the things that you remember where you're looking at it, anterior or your posterior. So we're looking here. This is called the biceps brachii. And this is going to be the coracobrachialis. Remember, you can only see it on the medial side. You can never see it on the lateral side. And then here, the lower half, it's going to be the brachialis muscle. Okay, the brachialis muscle. Biceps brachii is above these two muscles here. Okay, and then there's going to be the triceps brachii. And then we're going to look at the muscles here. So always, this is my landmark. My brachioradialis located at the thumb side. Okay, so when I identify that, I'm already know that I'm located at the anterior part. Okay, well, because mostly they actually are located at the anterior, but they can actually be a landmark for the posterior, but it's mostly in the anterior. This is the tendon of the brachioradialis. So I just need to identify three muscles here. So the first muscle is the muscle that goes above the rubber band called the flexor retinaculum. So that muscle that is above the rubber band, this one, that's going to be the palmaris longus. So don't just take a look at the muscle where it's being pointed at, okay? Follow it through and through. Take a look at where it goes. If it's above the rubber band, that's called the palmaris longus. So now, if that is my palmaris longus, this is going to be my flexor carpi thumb side radialis. And on the other side of the palmaris longus, this is going to be my flexor carpi ulnaris. Okay, so flexor carpi ulnaris, not extensor, it's flexor. Okay, so I'm not seeing that muscle quite visibly here. Okay, oh, here is the radialis, and here's the ulnaris. Okay, good. So remember, they're side by side when you go to the bottom. And this muscle is actually underneath. This is called flexor digitorum superficialis. It's actually underneath. Okay. Only three muscles that I want to look at onto the anterior compartment: palmaris longus, flexor carpi radialis, and flexor carpi ulnaris. Okay, so good at that one. Okay, and again, I'm looking at the arm. Okay, so you're not looking at the buttocks or not the gluteus. You're not looking at the pelvic bone. I'm looking at the arm. Okay, so again, this is going to be my subscapularis muscle. I don't see the scapular spine. If that's my subscapularis muscle, underneath that is going to be the teres major. Okay, not minor. So I'm looking now at the anterior compartment. This is going to be my biceps brachii. And this one is seen onto the medial side, coracobrachialis. And then after that, I can also see the brachialis on the medial side. So the brachialis, apparently, you can see it on the medial side and to the lateral side. But the coracobrachialis, you can only see it on the medial side. Okay? And then this is going to be our triceps brachii right here. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so again, now these are the anterior compartment. All of these are anterior compartment. So my landmark, again, brachioradialis, always on the thumb side, that bump there. And then I'm going to identify three muscles located here. One, two, and then your third one is here. Okay, they're side by side with each other. So this one is above the flexor retinaculum. That is going to be my palmaris longus. And this one is on the thumb side. They're called flexors, flexor carpi, thumb side radialis. And then this one is on the pinky side, flexor carpi ulnaris. Okay. So here are the muscles that are located inside. We're not going to do the deep muscles. All right, and then here is the muscles also again located inside. Okay, but if you take a look at the tendon, this is above the flexor retinaculum, so that's your palmaris longus. Okay, and then this is going to be the flexor carpi radialis, and then it's going to be the flexor carpi ulnaris. It's not as easy as it is. Okay. All right, so here is going to be the extensor group, okay? Posterior compartment of the forearm. So I'm going to look at my landmark again, brachioradialis, okay? And then I'm going to look at my other muscles here. Extensor carpi ulnaris onto the pinky side. And then the extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis, they're not as visible because they're still located here, okay? On this side. It's not actually visibly seen here. All right, so here is going to be biceps brachii. Okay, that's biceps brachii. This is my landmark, the brachioradialis. Then all of these are flexor group of muscles of the wrists and fingers. Okay, deltoid right here. And then, so this is going to be the triceps brachii, posterior compartment, deltoid. Okay, now, do you notice that the trapezius is still seen here? That means it's hard to actually look at your muscles that are underneath the trapezius, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be the infraspinatus. Okay, that is going to be the infraspinatus. Supraspinatus, you won't be able to actually see it here, okay, because the deltoid is here. And then the muscle that is actually below the infraspinatus is the teres minor. So the teres minor is here, and the teres major is here. And remember, the long hand of the triceps brachii enters between the two. Okay, enters between the two. All right. So now let's actually take a look at the lower extremities here, since we did the lower extremity. The gluteus maximus, and this is going to be the gluteus medius. Gluteus medius is actually a small muscle that it's not small. It's actually a little bit muscle that protrudes out from the lateral aspect of the gluteus. Okay. And remember, we're looking here at the posterior compartment of the thigh. And I told you, make sure that you're looking at it as if there's actually two curtains here. So the curtain on the lateral side, that's going to be your biceps femoris. Remember, I told you that mnemonics for the posterior compartment of the hamstrings are BSS. So the biceps femoris, the ones on the lateral side, and the SS, the two semis, is on the medial side. The most superficial is the semitendinosus, and flat underneath the tendinosus is the semimembranosus. So that's exactly how it looks like on this picture for the lower extremity. Okay, so upper extremity is hard to actually look at on this picture, and also the lower extremity. But you can actually see, well, this is obviously the biceps femoris, lateral side. Okay, now the letter N, okay, tensor fasciae latae, sartorius, and then the gracilis. And after that, you have the quads here. This is the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, okay? And so those are the muscles that you see onto the anterior compartment of the thigh, okay, biceps brachii, right? So it's not very obvious on this small picture. Okay, now we're looking now at the forearm and hand, okay? So this is hard to actually look at on our orientation, okay? But here's a better picture. Landmark, brachioradialis. Beside it, extensor carpi radialis longus. Okay, longus is here. And then brevis. There's two of them. Right, and then, okay, this is your thenar eminence, thenar muscles. Okay, so we don't have any more in that. Okay, so flexor muscles. Remember, I needed three muscles here. Again, my landmark, brachioradialis. Then we have this muscle above the flexor retinaculum. That's going to be your palmaris longus. Okay, so it's going to be your palmaris longus. So beside that would be the thumb side flexor carpi radialis. Then the pinky side is going to be flexor carpi ulnaris. Okay, then posterior compartment of the forearm, and remember, I'm looking at here where the tendons go to the digits. So I'm going to trace it up here, and that's going to be an extensor digitorum. Okay, all right. So my landmarks here, brachioradialis. So this is going to be my extensor carpi radialis. It's usually made out of two kinds, the extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis. So they actually just put it as one. Okay, so this is my digitorum because I see the tendons. So this is going to be my extensor carpi ulnaris because I'm at the pinky side. Okay, and then looking here at the upper arm, okay, deltoid. Then this is the scapular spine. So this would be the infraspinatus, and this would be from here to here, infraspinatus, and this is going to be the teres minor and the teres major. So they actually produce a hole between the two for the long head of the triceps brachii entering between the two. Okay, and some more on this picture. Okay, so subscapularis anterior. Okay, and then it's going to be your brachioradialis, landmark for my forearm. And the brachialis is the lower half of the arm, okay? But you can still see it to the side because it's flat. That's going to be your brachialis muscle. Then on top of that is going to be the biceps brachii. Okay, so here is going to be the biceps brachii intact. It's right here. So the muscle here is called the brachialis because that's actually the one that the lower half of the humerus is. And then triceps brachii on the posterior end. Okay, and also one other thing here. My landmark here is called the brachioradialis. Okay, biceps brachii here. Coracobrachialis here. And then brachialis is going to be seen here also. Okay. Subscapular is here. And whatever the subscapularis has between close to it, it's going to be the teres major. All right, then let's go and take a look at that. Okay, so it only gives you the picture. Oh, yeah, it actually gives you a picture of the muscle above and below the spine. This is your deltoid. This is your supraspinatus. This is going to be your infraspinatus. And if it's actually the muscle below that, that's going to be the teres minor right here. And the major is here. Okay, biceps brachii. And you can only see the coracobrachialis on the medial side. Okay, so again, biceps brachii is here. And you can see the coracobrachialis here. All right. All right, so infraspinatus. It's going to be the infraspinatus. And I know this is a teres minor. This is the major because the triceps brachii goes in between the two. Okay, so that finishes up our upper extremity, and we're just going to be doing the lower extremity. Okay, so that's your upper. Then the last part of the model is going to be the lower limb extremities. Okay, so I'm going to open up my pen. And I should be able to write on it. Okay. Right. So let's take a look now at the lower limb. Okay. So lower limb. Okay. So I'm going to start always with my landmark, my letter N. Tensor fasciae latae, sartorius, and gracilis is a little bit more in the back. Okay. So that is going to be the landmark. So everything here is the anterior compartment. The R, rectus femoris, V, vastus lateralis, V, vastus medialis. Okay, so those are the quads. And then, okay, now it'll be on the foot. Okay, so we need a closer view. Okay, so lower extremity, gluteus maximus, gluteus medius. And remember, this is going to be the curtain. Okay. The curtains that goes to the side is going to be the biceps femoris, and the curtain that is on the medial side is going to be the two semis, semitendinosus and semimembranosus. Tendinosus is above the membranosus. And then the muscle located here at the leg, posterior compartment, gastrocnemius, and then soleus is the thin muscle inside. Okay, so lower extremity muscle, not as obvious as it is. Okay, so now looking at the lower extremity. Okay, so now the figure itself out, we're not at the arm, okay? I'm not looking at the deltoid. So you're looking now at the gluteus maximus, okay? And this is going to be the medius. Apparently, the medius is actually the site of injection. Remember, we don't use gluteus maximus because underneath that is going to be the sciatic nerve. So we don't want to inject at the maximus. You might hit the nerve accidentally. Okay, now I have my two curtains. This one goes to the lateral side. This one goes to the medial side. So this is going to be my biceps femoris. And the two muscles that you see here, one below this other one. Okay. Semitendinosus is above, semimembranosus is below. Okay, and then all the muscles you see here are adductors. Okay, moving on. All right, so sartorius, okay, always look for a familiar side. Sartorius. Okay, and then this is going to be sartorius and then connects into gracilis. Okay, then let's move on. Okay, so again, my letter N. Tensor fasciae latae, sartorius. Okay, and everything here is going to be adductors. Okay, and let's identify that. Let's identify this first. Quads. My rectus femoris, vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, easily. Now here is going to be the P, pectineus. Remember, your landmark here, since you have blood vessels, you use that as a landmark. Pectineus becomes a little bit small, okay, on that picture with blood vessels. Now, remember, this is the psoas muscle, and this is the iliacus muscle. When they go down, they actually go down here, both of them as one. And that's the reason why we call it the iliopsoas muscle. Okay, something went wrong. Iliopsoas muscle. Oh, I was at the end. So the iliopsoas muscle is a muscle, the combination of the psoas major and and the iliacus. It actually goes here to the thigh area. That's why it's not something that you should actually take for granted because that's part of the muscle of the thigh. So I got my pectineus, adductor longus. Okay, this is my gracilis here. And then some of the spaces here is where my magnus is going to be. Okay, adductor magnus. Again, that is your quadriceps femoris muscle in the front. Okay, see the side view, tensor fasciae latae, gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, then the one that goes into the. Okay, so let me actually make a big. Okay, all right. So this is an error. Okay, because remember, this is going to be the lateral side of the hip. Okay, it's the lateral side of the hip. So we're looking at the lateral side here. So remember, the curtain on the lateral side is going to be the biceps femoris. And the curtain on the medial side is going to be two, semitendinosus and semimembranosus underneath, right here. So I got the more superficial, semi. It actually means, oh, I'm at the end. It actually means, semitendinosus. It actually means like a tendon, semitendinosus. And then the one here is going to be the semimembranosus. Okay. All right, some more pictures. Okay, now we're now the leg. Okay, so the technique of the leg is first take a look at the muscle that is adhering to this shin bone. That will be your tibialis anterior. Okay, next look for the digitorum longus. Remember, you have to attach the word longus because of the compartment, posterior compartment of the arm. It also has extensor digitorum. So this differentiates the two. So if I trace it down, it's going to the digits. So it's confirmed on this diagnosis. Extensor digitorum longus, okay? And then this muscle here that is actually not as obvious as it is, it goes to the big toe. And that muscle on the area where the big toe is going to be your adductor. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm getting confused. Not adductor. It's going to be the hallucis. Hallucis means big toe. So I see the tendon going to the big toe. And these are all extensor muscles of the anterior compartment. So extensor. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Extensor, hallucis, longus. Okay, because it goes to the big toe. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some other pictures. Okay, from the posterior compartment, the gastrocnemius is this one. The soleus is going to be something inside, okay? But you can actually see a little bit of that soleus here. All right, and then again, who's on the lateral side? That should be the big toe, the pinky toe. So that's biceps femoris, and this is going to be the semitendinosus and semimembranosus. Remember, it's like a curtain. All right, and then this is going to be the gastrocnemius, the one more superficial. The one inside is going to be the soleus. It looks like it's one muscle. We actually refer to them as called calf muscle. Okay, gastrocnemius soleus, and the lateral compartment is going to be the two peroneus, or what we call fibularis. The one on top is going to be your fibularis longus, and the one that is flat onto the bottom, that's going to be fibularis brevis. That's fibularis brevis. These two are lateral compartment muscles. Okay, and then other view of the gastrocnemius and the soleus there. Okay, moving on. Next one. Okay, so this is going to be the inside the muscles that you see inside the gluteus. They're actually called lateral rotator of the hip. This is similar to the rotator cuff muscle of the shoulder. Okay, so the first thing that you should look at is, where's my sciatic nerve? If that's the sciatic nerve, this muscle here is going to be the piriformis. Okay, piriformis. And then this is going to be the superior gemellus and inferior gemellus. Superior gemellus and inferior gemellus. So they're just like bread, and the middle is the obturator internus. Inferior gemellus. And in the middle here, that's going to be the obturator internus. So I'm going to mark it with a different color so you can actually see what it looks like between the two gemellus. Okay, that's going to be your, this is going to be the muscle that is located there. It's called the obturator internus. Okay, moving on. So gastrocnemius, soleus, right here. This is now deep posterior compartment. So we didn't actually include the deep posterior compartment. So take note that you can still see their muscles, but they're not part of our muscle anatomy. Okay, so here, this is my letter N, okay? Sartorius and gracilis. Okay, part of the letter N. Okay, and here is going to be, see, this is actually a picture where the vastus intermedius is. So the rectus femoris was removed here. So you can actually see the three vastus now. Vastus medialis, vastus intermedius, and then vastus lateralis. Okay, and remember, these are the part of the adductors. So this is adductor longus, and a small one is called pectineus. Okay. All right, again, this picture gives you the regular model that we're looking at, okay? So we got the letter N, that's fascia, sartorius, and gracilis. Okay, and then the rectus femoris, vastus, so I'm looking at the hip, vastus medialis. Okay, wait a minute. This is not vastus lateralis, again. Okay, so this came from the book's models. I hate to agree, because remember, what do you call the sartorius came from the lateral going to the medial side. Okay, that's actually the description of what a sartorius muscle is. So if this is sartorius came from the lateral side, and this is your third fascia, this is where the lateral is. So in that case, this is now the vastus lateralis. So what's the other side then? That is going to be the vastus intermedius. I'm sorry, vastus medialis, and intermedius. Vastus medialis. So that's how you identify muscle names are usually location. So you got to be sure that, are you looking at the medial side? So I'm going to call it medialis. Or are you looking at the lateral side? I'm going to call it lateralis. Okay. All right, and then another picture. This is going to be the medialis, lateralis, rectus femoris, tensor fasciae latae, and that's going to be the sartorius Okay, so same picture, just blurry description. And we're looking at hamstring. So I want you to be specific about hamstring. Remember, whoever is on the lateral side, the curtain, it's going to be the biceps femoris. Okay, so it actually originates at the ischial tuberosity. Okay, and then it inserts down here at the posterior part of the knee. Okay, I'm looking at the posterior part. These are my posterior compartments. So biceps femoris is this, and this is going to be the semitendinosus on top, semimembranosus at the bottom. Okay, so we're looking at the hamstrings. Okay, remember who's on the lateral side? This one. This is lateral. Okay, and remember, if you take a look at your muscle on the hamstring, I'm with the posterior because I see my gluteus maximus. Now, if you take a look at the hamstring, you know that onto the lateral side, that's going to be your biceps femoris. And on the medial side, the superficial one is going to be the semitendinosus, and the one underneath is going to be the semimembranosus. Okay, adductor muscles. All right, so again, looking at my landmark. This is the femoral vessel, so this is going to be the iliopsoas. Okay, then adductor longus. So pectineus is actually somewhere around here. Okay. Right, again, the one being labeled here is going to be your gracilis, because remember, the superficiality, sartorius, end to end, connecting with the gracilis. Okay, we look at the medial side. So this is going to be the vastus medialis. Okay, and this is going to be the rectus femoris. Okay, and then you have the adductor longus. Right. So again, tensor fasciale, sartorius, gracilis. So this is going to be the pectineus. This is the adductor longus right here. Okay, and in between them, this part here, you can actually see a gap. Okay, within those gap, that's going to be the adductor magnus. Okay, and then opposite to the femoral vessels, that's going to be your iliopsoas. Right, another picture. Okay, so this is going to be the pectineus. Small part of it is shown. This is iliopsoas, lateral to the femoral vessels, and adductor longus is here. Okay, and then vastus medialis, vastus lateralis, and rectus femoris. Okay, again, pectineus is here, small. Iliopsoas is here. This is psoas major, iliacus. And then there's a gap here. This is adductor longus, and the gap here, that's going to be your adductor magnus. Okay, and then same picture. But it was labeled bad also. Remember the vastus lateralis is in a long place. Okay, that's not the lateralis. Okay, so this is what you see on the adductors. So pectineus is green. Then the part here is going to be the magnus. So it's wide. So this is what it looks like for adductor magnus. It's wide. And on top of that is going to be the adductor longus. Right? And then here's your uh, adductor magnus. Okay, now we have the lateral rotator now. Okay, so that's going to be under here, the gluteus maximus. Okay, now the first thing you look for is going to be the sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve goes below the piriformis. Take a look at the name piriformis. They're saying it looks like a pyramid. So it actually looks like a pyramid, the piriformis. Okay, and then this is going to be the superior gemellus. And this is your inferior gemellus. Gemellus. Okay? Then in the middle is the obturator internus. And then there's one other thing here I forgot. It's square. Looks like four corners. We call it quadratus femoris. Right, and then another picture of the lateral rotator, piriformis, and then the sciatic nerves there. And then superior gemellus, inferior gemellus, and that's going to be the obturator internus in between the superior and inferior gemellus. Okay, so sometimes you can actually use this mnemonics to memorize. Okay, so piriformis, obturator, not obturator, but superior gemellus, inferior gemellus, then the quadratus femoris. Okay, so this guy is holding on to this is going to be the sciatic nerve. This is your piriformis. Looks like pyramid, superior. Okay, so that is going to be your superior gemellus. And below, inferior gemellus. And between is the obturator internus. Okay, and anything on the foot, okay, tibialis anterior, the one close to the shin bone. And then I see this one that goes here to the digits, extensor digitorum longus. And then I see one here that goes to the big toe, extensor hallucis longus. Okay, this is going to be digitorum because it goes to the digits right here. Okay, and then the posterior compartment is another name called sural compartment. Okay, gastrocnemius, and then soleus underneath. And then it shows you about the gastrocnemius here, and soleus underneath. And then I'm looking at the lateral compartment. So this is going to be the peroneus. longus on top. Okay, so we have the three muscles here. The gastrocnemius is the first one. The soleus. Okay, and then the thin-looking tendon called the plantaris. Okay, and we're looking at the lateral compartment now. So this should be our last one. So in the lateral compartment, remember the lateral malleolus is your landmark, separating anterior compartment of the leg compared to the lateral compartment of the leg here. Okay, and then this is going to be my peroneus longus, or fibularis longus, that's another name. And on the bottom, you can actually see this part here too. Going to be the peroneus brevis. Okay. All right, so these are the lateral compartment. This is your fibularis brevis because it's underneath, and this is longus because it's on top. Okay, lateral compartment, longus. This one has a stem. Longus usually have a stem. And then this is going to be your peroneus brevis. Okay, so longus, and then this is brevis. Okay, and then iliacus is the muscle located here at the pelvic cavity. This is going to be the psoas major. And these are the muscles that we went through. Okay, so let's try to actually review another one also. Okay. All right, guys. So it's 7:23. So you have about 2 hours to actually do your lab exercises and your pre-test. So, I mean, pre-test is good and helps you study, and you want to get a good grade on that one, so you can do multiple entry. Okay, I just am concerned about the people. I've seen other people have not done their lab exercises. Okay, and remember, we're going to be finishing pretty soon, so try to get those deadline in. Right. Okay. So tomorrow's our exam. It's 4:30 to 9. So it's going to be open 4:30 to 9. Okay. So you can take it any time of those times. And remember, topics is joints, muscle tissue, and muscle. All right. Any other question? If not, I'll see you tomorrow then. Good night.